over at Business Insider, the scrappy, feisty, exciting, business focused news outlet that you had worked at one point. You were the politics editor over there, that they issued a new policy to their staff. This is a really interesting one. They are owned by the German publishing giant Axel Springer. Which has gone all in on the use of artificial intelligence in their reporting. This new policy that they issued to their staff said that they can actually use ChatGPT to draft their stories. Just like any other tool, they can now use AI. And yes, you may use ChatGPT to write your first draft so long as the final work is yours. This came as a surprise to some of the reporting staff there. I think this is the largest American news organization to outright tell its staff, just use ChatGPT to write your first draft. Like, that's fine. Go in, make some tweaks, make sure it sounds like you, make sure you get the facts right. Come on. It's on you, they say, if you have some hallucinated story that makes up the facts. My God, could you imagine if it artificially created quotes? But this is where we are now. And so theoretically, BI reporting that's on their website today could be written by ChatGPT, at least, as a foundation. And I think really interesting here is there's going to be no disclaimer to the reader that you're reading either some or a portion of machine written information. It'll just have a reporter's byline as usual. What do you make of this decision?
Well, I think it's coming from the top. I think you alluded to that, but Matthias Döpfner, who's the head of Axel Springer, is obsessed with AI. He delivered a town hall to the entire Axel Springer Corporation, which owns Business Insider, over the summer, and the entire theme was, we need to go all in on AI. He said he is using it for all his emails. He is using it to write things and to take memos. And so he's all in on it. And so at the time, it was actually unclear whether staffers at the individual outlets were going to be using AI in the way he is. And he encouraged them to use it. And so Axel Springer said after the town hall, basically, it will be up to the individual outlets to specifically outline how staff can use AI. Because remember, at the time he said, it's not like you'll get in trouble if you are using AI. He said you will basically be in trouble if you're not using AI. And so now we're seeing Business Insider try to, I think, execute his vision. And they said, yes, it's okay to use ChatGPT to write the first draft. Although notably, they said that they don't encourage you to do that. So it's like they are stuck between a rock and a hard place because Döpfner really wants the company using AI. And I think you still have some journalists like Jamie Heller, who's the editor-in-chief over there, is a veteran Wall Street Journal editor. I don't know if she's super comfortable with staff using AI to generate first drafts. And so they're saying it's okay, but they don't really encourage it. More broadly, John, I think this is probably where most news organizations are going to be headed in the next few years. BI is the first. It won't be the last. And I think sooner than not, this is going to be the norm in the industry, particularly for news outlets that do commodity news. And I would guess that the anomalies will be the human-generated outlets, and it'll be more places like The Atlantic, The New Yorker, who boast about how they don't use this technology, and you're paying a premium because it's all human-curated or created, human-edited content. But outside some of these specific outlets that can afford not to do it, it's going to be tough for executives as they are under pressure to tighten the belt to reject using it altogether.
Yeah, I mean, from the business perspective here for a minute, I do think that it makes, in their mind, a lot of sense, because if you use ChatGPT to write your first draft, it can do it in 5 seconds, let's say 10 seconds, 30 seconds on a bad day where the servers are really busy. you got a whole article, and then someone can just drop in and this looks fine, this looks fine. Okay, boom, publish this thing. You can just crank content onto the internet. There are a lot of implications for that, including the sort of gross sameness of information on the web, having this sort of same feel and look, turns of phrases. I notice people already when I'm like reading Reddit at times, people are calling out like, oh, this was clearly written by ChatGPT because of the certain writing style that it uses. I notice people are already, anytime somebody uses an M dash and they're not like a
This
journalist,
is
it's like,
the most terrible thing, by the way, because as you know, because you've edited me for a long time, I love the M dash. I've been using the M dash forever. And now it's like everyone's using the M dash because
yeah,
the
now I don't
machines
want
are
to
using
use
the M
it.
dash.
Now every time I see it, I think twice. Like maybe we shouldn't actually use this. And when in their own policy, by the way, which we published on our website, on Status website this week, I looked very closely at the policy, which included M dashes, and I thought, I don't even know who wrote this. Did ChatGPT write this?
I like to think, I could be wrong. I like to think I was using the M dash before it was cool to
Your
use
M
the M
dash
dash.
OG.
Like, there weren't that
Okay.
many M dash users back then, I feel like. It was mostly comma, comma. And now it's like everyone's using the M dash, which kind of sucks. Now, like you said, I'm like, do I want to use the M dash? I mean, I love it. I think it's a great way to insert information into a sentence, especially if you're trying to communicate something long or emphasize something. But the machines are all using M dashes, which is kind of terrible. And I think that's, you know, one of the terrible things about ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be honest. I think the reason why ChatGPT and others, I've never even used like Claude and all these other ones. Like I'm sure they're doing the same. It's because they trained on journalistic reporting. They trained on this kind of information that was written by people like us who use the M dash because it's a great way to, add some distance in a sentence, to add a sort of, break between what would otherwise be an extreme use of commas throughout. I think it's pretty obvious where it came from, but now it's like become this telltale. But all this is to say is that I feel like from a business perspective, especially after hearing Matthias say how it has written this beautiful memo that I couldn't have even written better myself at one point, right? I do feel like they're looking at this and saying, hey, we could write faster, more often, crank more content. But having read Business Insider in recent years, where it has really turned away from its old days of fast and furious, let's put something on the website in 30 seconds about like the Fed decision. Let's beat the Journal to their own story because somebody tweeted one sentence on it. Now they hired, an editor from the Wall Street Journal. They've taken a more serious approach to it. They've put up the paywall. Now they're looking at distinctive reporting, feature pieces. And like ChatGPT is not going to be great at that. And I think there's a certain use case for it that to me feels mismatched for a lot of what BI does as a reader. The question I have is, Axel Springer owns far more than just Business Insider. In fact, in the US, notably, they own Politico. I wonder if this policy, which is under the same parent co, would apply to them, or if they're going to institute some restrictions, because I do think that is even more high risk given the topic and nature that they're talking about over there with the Trump administration and politics. Getting that wrong, inserting accidentally errors like we've seen Bloomberg do when they turned on AI summaries of their articles, and then, oh shit, whoops, turns out we falsely summarized our own reporting in our piece. And then having to add editor's notes, just like, oh man, it's tough. It's tough because these AI products can output a lot of copy very quickly that appears on first glance to be legitimate. And what we have learned is that sometimes it just wholesale imagines things.
Yeah, and the other thing it just lacks a soul, I think. It reminds me very much of how all these coffee shops now look like the same coffee shop that's designed for Instagram, right? They have the fiddle leaf fig tree somewhere in there. The paint color looks kind of the same. Everything looks the same. And it's kind of depressing. Like, do we want to live in a world where everything reads the same now too? I mean, that's just another factor in all this. But I agree, the errors that it could insert will be problematic for a lot of news organizations. And speaking of Politico, I did check in. It does not appear that they have released their own standards, but we're expecting them at some point in the near future to release their own AI standards, because Matthias over at Axel Springer is bullish on this, and he's made it very clear he wants his outlets to embrace this technology, and he'd rather there be some mistakes, he'd rather it be messy, but he's betting the entire future of this company on AI.
Yeah, no, that so much is clear. All right, well, we will see how this shakes out. I'm very curious if we notice a difference, if readers notice a difference in the reporting from Business Insider. Or how the staff decides to make use of this. It's not a mandate, it's optional. But if your boss is coming and telling you, you can just have it write your articles for you at first glance, and then, you can come in and make your own tweaks to it. I think a lot of people might use that to save time if that's okay. In fact, to an extent, it is encouraged. As an editor for a long time now, uh, it can be exhausting to constantly have to write something new. And if the machine's going to write it for you in a few seconds, you might take advantage of that.
Thank you for watching Power Lines. For more analysis and insight, subscribe to our YouTube channel down below, like this video, and you can watch more of us right over here.